Hello and welcome to another edition of the Harmony Grove Coaches Show. I'm Dylan Word, and this week we'll be joined, as we always are, with Coach Ernie Horskamp. We'll talk about this past Friday night's huge victory over the Rising Wildcats, as well as preview this week's Week 10 matchup against the Barton Bears. So for this break, Coach Ernie Horskamp will join me right here at the table. This break is brought to you by B&S Memorials. And welcome back. And Coach, a 41-30 victory over the Rising Wildcats in what I think you said was a barn burner of a game. An amazing atmosphere Friday night for some high school football.
Yeah, you're right. Back and forth throughout, especially the first half. Traded some scores there in the first half. Went into halftime down. It was 22-14, and came out in the second half and executed great offensively, and then caught a couple breaks defensively. They put the ball on the ground, one unforced, and then one we knocked loose, fumbling the football, and we were able to jump on those and capitalize. So back and forth. Even when we got up, after that, our last score, it was 41-22, and and it was the fourth quarter. You're up 3 scores, and you're still
never comfortable.
Still not comfortable.
Trust me, everybody wasn't.
You're looking up at the clock, wondering if it will just, I wish he'd speed it up somehow. But it's just one of those deals. It was a great game. Knew it would be very competitive throughout, and they've got a great football team.
They do, always.
And we knew we had to play great to come out on top, and we did. And hats off to our guys too.
Absolutely, and it was senior night Friday night, and a couple seniors that stood out to me on that defensive line, Bakari Thomas and Walker Sweat.
Ooh, boy, they played great, didn't they?
They did.
I think both of them were in double-digit tackles. 11 or 12 apiece, something like that. I don't have the stats right in front of me. I remember seeing that, and they were just. And they clogged the middle all night long.
Man, did they.
In order to beat a team like Rising, you're going to have some guys step up and play great games on the defensive line. Those guys did just that. Very proud of Walker and Bakari and all of our defensive linemen.
Absolutely. A team like Rising that's going to run the football, you've got to have great defensive linemen right there. Yeah,
and those guys kind of led the way. We rotated a lot of guys in there. We mentioned Bakari and Walker. Grant Bearden and Logan McCann in there. And
they've got a freshman in there, Peyton Ross.
Peyton Ross used his size. Knew that we were going to use that, and their junior high season over, kind of get that guy involved in the high school, and knew he had some, the ability to play. Just kind of wanted to test him out at practice this week, and he did a great job and earned a couple snaps Friday night. When he was in there, he did a great job. I don't want to leave out, Jaden Walker and Gavin Word also saw plenty of time in there, and those guys did a great job all night, and knew we were going to have to play a lot of guys and keep them fresh, because Rising just keeps coming off the ball over and over, and you get banged up a little bit.
They want to control that time of possession,
and we were able to do a good job there.
Talk about those freshmen. Of course, I get the roster before the game, and I look at and I see a couple freshmen here and there, and I go down and I see Drew Horskamp. How about that? He dressed out in his first senior high game. That had to be a proud father right there.
It is. He enjoys it, and very proud of him. They had a great. All those freshmen had a good junior high season. We've talked about them a few times throughout the season, and getting to be involved in that. The ninth graders moving up. Of course, my son too, obviously, and it's always a special moment. But for all those freshmen, and a lot of those guys contributed. And you can't leave out. Justin Tillery saw some snaps defensively. Zy Smith had to come in offensively and play some quarterback.
And, thought he played very well. A few snaps for Caleb.
And Caleb went down with an ankle injury, and then Zy came in and controlled the offense. He did take one sack, and he held on to the football. I don't know if I could have. He did take one. He got rocked, but he held on to the football, kept his composure, and then obviously Trent Haygood had a great night catching the 3 touchdown passes. So those guys did a great job.
So let's talk about Caleb Johnson. We've talked about him all season long. I think he threw 5 touchdowns Friday night, which is probably the most he's had all season long.
Well, it is. That's one of the best performances at the quarterback position I know that we've had in the last 4 years. If not, I can't spit out stats from every single game and stuff like that, but I know he was I think he was 11 for 18 for 248 yards and then the 5 TDs. And playing a team like Rising, and a tradition-rich program and such a good football team makes that performance even more special.
Absolutely, and Rising, they rely so heavily on that run game, but they did throw the ball a few times, and it caught us off guard a couple times as well.
Yeah, we had some guys, they are a little better throwing the football this year. I think the kid's name's Morrison, the sophomore quarterback that they have. They had
a good arm.
Yeah, they had thrown the ball, again in their previous games that we had seen, and they just went up. We had some guys in position a few times, and you got to give them credit. Put the ball in a good spot for them, and they threw the touchdown pass down here that was tipped. And,
after ours was tipped.
Yeah, exactly. And then, he puts it, on their last score, right before they got their last score. Selman was in position. Kid just kind of made a play. Ball's in a good spot. Selman's in the right spot. Just kind of made a play on it. So.
You talk about the Morrison kid making a play. I go back and Trent Haygood, as a freshman, 3 touchdowns. That's something you don't see every day.
No, it's not. Not especially a first varsity game.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys, move up a little earlier and have big games later in the year, but to do that in your first varsity game, I'm sure he was pretty pumped. I know he was during the game. I'm sure he was excited about it, and it's a very special game for him. I'm sure, and something he'll remember.
I put on Facebook late Friday night that the future is bright for the next couple of years for Hornet football.
It is.
If you just watched all those players Friday night, the future is very bright.
Yeah, it is. Things are going good, for our football program right now. Got a really good team right now with a chance to, make a little run in the playoffs. Once you get there, everybody knows that old cliche, it's one game at a time.
That's right.
And it's that for a reason. We'll have to focus and stay that way all through November and hopefully December, but got a chance to, make some noise in the playoffs and then, and have a chance to do that for years to come.
Absolutely. And one thing that we saw that we haven't seen all year, we had a gentleman at tight end, Grant Beard.
Yeah.
I know we talked before the game that he's wearing a different number tonight.
Yeah, and that was, we moved Grant to tight end. It was mainly it's something that we kind of thought about using for a few weeks now, just because of that, that 5-man front that Rising was playing. We've seen that front quite a bit.
We have.
And, a lot of the teams in our conference are playing that 5-2 with the man coverage behind it. And, and it's just, from what we had seen from Rising in years past, if you use a tight end, we could kind of predict how they were going to align. And they did. It was so it worked out for us, and it's something that you can't use that every week. It just we had been kind of planning on that for a couple weeks, and it worked out good for us. And unfortunately, didn't get to throw Grand football or anything like that, but
decoy.
But it worked out for us. It did open an extra bubble up there to run the football in and give us a little extra pass protection.
For sure. And now we sit pretty much second in the playoffs or second in conference with a shot at possibly 2 home games.
I think it's from what I see, it's locked that we're going to be the 2 seed, just because the most, even if something were to happen and we failed at Barton, we would have 2 conference losses, which would put us in a tie with Rising because everybody else has at least 3, and so we would have the head-to-head. So it
because of our victory over Rising.
Exactly, and it appears that we're going to be the 2 seed and hosting a first-round playoff game against I believe it's the 4 seed from the 3A.
Which I believe, as of right now, looks like Harrisburg.
Looks like it's going to be Harrisburg. I think, there's some crazy things that could happen.
Yes.
But it looks like it's going to be Harrisburg.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about Barton, and we'll take a quick break, and we'll talk about those Barton Bears after this break. This break is brought to you by TJC Incorporated. Welcome back, Coach. We'll in the regular season, I should say, with the Barton Bears, a tradition-rich high school that went on a huge win streak in the late 90s, early 2000s, but in recent years they've kind of struggled.
Yeah, people that have been around, Arkansas for a long time, probably and been around high school football for, 20 or 30 years are gonna. They hear the team. They hear you're playing Barton. They remember the glory days of Barton. Back a long time ago, they won 60 straight games. What I want to say was at that time the longest streak in the nation at that time. So they had a great run. Have won, I want to say, like 8 state titles, mainly in the 80s and the 90s. So those guys have a lot of tradition. People that come out to Barton Friday are going to see those state titles listed, and it's they had a special thing going. Very tradition rich. A lot of those people are probably still there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I know that they want to get it back. I know they have made what I would say they've made some investments in their football program in recent years. Really upgraded their facilities. Have added a number of coaches there, and so and gave a lot of support to them. And so it's it seems like they're going in the right direction, even though the wins may not be coming their way over the past couple years. They are trending in the right direction because they do have a young team also.
Oh, absolutely. So they sit right now. I believe they've had 1 win on the season. So they're out to try to get another win in the regular season.
And you're right. And I think we all found out a couple weeks ago. Just because the team is, when we played Drew Central, the team has no wins or 1 win. They're not coming to lay down.
No, they're not.
They're going to keep practicing, and they've got a shot. This will be their last game of the season. They probably look at this as a big game for them. We'll say it's their Super Bowl, but it's their big game for the season. They have a chance to knock off the number 2 seed in the conference, and we've got to do everything we can to keep them from doing that.
They want to go out on a high, and I'm sure it'll be senior night for those young men up in Barton.
Yes, I would believe so.
So what can we expect when we go to Barton, which is going to be a long night, Friday night?
Yeah, going to be a long trip for one thing. I think it's about 3 hours away, over by just about to Helena, over by the Mississippi River. So got a long trip, so we can't let that affect us, number one. And then, offensively, they're going to mix between some eye with a tight end and then a little bit of spread. They keep the same guys out there no matter what they're in, so it doesn't, it's hard to predict what they're going to come out in. They don't personnel it or anything like that. So, they'll break the huddle with the same guys and line up in the eye. They'll break the huddle with the same 11 and line up in the spread the next play. So you got to be able to identify and adjust, because you don't know what's coming, where a lot of teams will personnel it and certain guys are in for certain formations. They don't necessarily do that. Right. And so they are athletic. They're a young team. They have a sophomore quarterback. He actually started last year's game over here. Last year's Week 10 game here. He's a real big kid, about 6'3". He's over 200 pounds, and runs well for a big guy. Got a strong arm, still developing and everything, just like every sophomore is. Have some speed. I know the Johnson kid that's a sophomore over there. I think he's number 3. He can go. So we've got to keep him bottled up too.
So you speak of the quarterback. He's 6'3", over 200. How do you contain a quarterback of that size? Get
a lot of hats around the football. Got to gain tackle and not let that guy get downhill. And similar to some things you heard me say early in the year when we played Junction City and those big packs that they had. You got to get those guys going sideways, because if a guy's 210 and he's coming downhill and you're 160, and he's going to get the extra yard or two. So we've just got to rally to the football and have a lot of guys around it.
My dad played in the 70s here at Harmony Grove, and he's always said, if you want to cut a man down, hit him in the knees.
Yeah, and that's something you can do too. So we have some guys going low too.
So how can the Hornets improve Friday night? We're very physical up front. How can we improve on that against Barton?
Well, the one thing, Friday was emotional, a big game, emotional win. We've got to continue to get better, but we can't have a letdown. I think that's one thing. We've just got to come back and be ready to work, Monday through Thursday, and be ready to go Friday. But as far as improvement, we just need to see constant improvement, and I think we've seen that throughout the season from week 0 going into weeks 9 and 10. We have, you always have, there's always ups and downs during a season. We've had some, and both, Friday was definitely an up.
Yes.
The losses to Harding Academy, McGee, those were down. But we've bounced back, and
they made us better
emotionally and everything, and been ready to go, mentally prepared to go, and we can't let Friday's big win, affect Friday, where earlier in the year I said we can't let a loss lose you the next week. A win can't affect us the next. We just got to continue to get better.
It's hard to believe it's already the end of the regular season.
It flew by, didn't it?
It has. August to now November coming up. It's flown by quickly.
Yeah, I've mentioned to them, we always tell them back in the summer, in August, football season is the craziest thing, because when you start, it's when you start practicing, it's so hot you can't stand it. Hopefully we're still playing when it's so cold you can't stand it.
That's right, absolutely. So we'll take a quick break, come back, and we'll recap some of the junior high and the senior high moments of these. This break is brought to you by B&M Painting. Welcome back, Coach. Last week, junior high season came to a sad end, but they had an overall good season after a loss to McGee in the championship.
Oh yeah, last Thursday we went over to McGee and played in the conference championship game.
Second year in a row.
Second year in a row, matched up with McGee, and went over there. Guys played a great game against a really good McGee team. My hats are off to both teams. Both teams went out and competed all night long, left everything on the field. We, unfortunately, we came away with a loss, 6-0. It was a scoreless first half. Kind of a defensive battle. Field conditions weren't just great or anything like that, and that had an effect probably on both teams. But we fell behind 6-0 there in the beginning of the fourth quarter, but our guys, they kept fighting. They took the ball, drove all the way down to the 10-yard line, had a chance to tie the game, and obviously if we'd have tied the game, had a chance to go for the win and 2-point conversion, and just didn't work out our way.
Yep. Junior high is a funny team. You got your young 8th graders, you got your experienced 9th graders. This team this year, to me, looked like it was very well experienced. Yeah,
it did. That's junior high. You explain it well. Junior high is just different because you have 8th and 9th graders, and there's such a there's a difference in an 8th and 9th grader. More of a difference in an 8th and 9th grader than a junior and a senior, even though they're both just 1 year difference. Such a physical difference. And, most junior highs, and we were, are 9th grade heavy as far as, the major contributors, even though we did have a number of 8th graders that did a great job contributing throughout the year. And, those guys will get their shot to carry the team next year as 9th graders. But, those freshmen have had a great experience. I think they've lost 4 games in 3 years, all, and never lost one by more than 1 score. So they've got a good group there. Followed by a solid group of 8th graders. We expect them. Told them last Friday when we met with them, it's their job now to work hard over the off season, prepare and carry that on, and compete for another conference title next year.
Just like the seniors are the leaders of the senior high team, those 9th graders are the leaders of the junior high team.
Yes, and that's exactly how we see it. And that way, everybody, each class is getting an opportunity to show some leadership and show what that group can do.
I want to hit on one 8th grader in particular. He's impressed me all season long. He improved all season long. That's Jackson McMullen.
Yeah, Jackson's got a chance to be a very good football player. He really improved throughout the year.
Big for his age.
Yes, he's got all the physical tools. He's tall. He's got to be 6 foot or 6'1" already,
which is rare for that age.
Right, and he's still young, and so he's just going to keep growing and works really hard in the weight room during the summer, and practices hard. And, he's going to be one that keep an eye on over the next several years.
Absolutely, can't wait to watch him up in junior high next year and senior high in the next couple of years.
Me and you both.
So last week, long night, Thursday night, coming back from McGee, come back home Friday night. Well, you get a little bit of a break Thursday night.
Right. I don't know how this is going to feel. We, got a different week. We usually, practice the high school and then the junior high after them on Mondays and Tuesdays, and going to have a shorter day, which we'll still, practice high school. Have a normal schedule with them, but Monday, I have to figure out what to do with myself, I guess. And then Thursday, no junior high. You get to this point every year, and it always, the first Thursday, it feels kind of different.
It does.
Which, a lot of times you can go scout because there are several games, week 10 are on Thursday, but it doesn't really look like there's very many that are local this year that are played on a Thursday. And, the team, we talk about, potential playoff teams that we could match up with. All those guys play on Friday, so nothing really to do. I guess we'll finish up practice on Thursday and get to spend a little more time at home than normal anyway.
Very nice. So what do we need to improve on to get ready for Friday night?
Well, the weather conditions are just going to continue to worsen as the year goes on.
Colder.
It's going to get colder, and teams that run the football and stop the run are going to succeed, and that's something we've just got to keep improving on. We are a balanced football team, and as long as the weather's good, which we have actually shown the ability to throw the football well in the rain,
just
especially
like
down in Smackover.
Yeah.
So you just worry about getting in a situation like you got last year at McGee. When we traveled to McGee, where the field conditions are bad, it's pouring rain and things like that, and where throwing the football is tough. And,
that kind of throws the game plan off.
Yeah, and just something that we've got to be able to adjust to, and something that is coming, that you always got to prepare for. So the weather conditions, those always play a part in the playoffs, and you just got to be able to, and that it holds true every year. You see these teams that throw the football around, and they're up there, they're playing for state titles, but they can still run the football and they can still stop the run. So those teams, those teams are the ones that are going to have success throughout. We're going to continue to be balanced offensively, and then continue to get better defensively in all three phases, and just get better at the things that are important.
That's right. And what is important is a win. Hopefully we come away with that Friday night.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we'll take a quick break, come back with some closing thoughts. This break is brought to you by D&M Storage. Coach, we will end the season with the Barton Bears, 7 o'clock Friday night. Travel up to the Delta around the Mississippi River.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be a long trip, like we mentioned. Last regular season game. We need to go in and prepare all week, and then go out and end the regular season. Still playing well, because we've won 5 of our last 6. And then need to keep this roll going, playing pretty well right now, and keep this thing going into the playoffs.
And we don't want to look past an opponent with one win, and look ahead to the playoffs. We want to take it 1 week by.
Oh, exactly. And like we mentioned earlier, we found out a couple weeks ago, which in no means did we take Drew Central lightly.
No,
we knew they were going to compete, and they came out and did it. And I know Barton's going to do the same thing, and we're going to go out and get ready to play Friday.
Absolutely. Hopefully, send fans home happy Friday night that make the long trip up to Barton.
Yeah, send everybody home on that 3-hour drive happy.
Absolutely. They want to go home happy and full of emotions, and hopefully it's good emotions.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that'll do it for this week. Thanks to Coach Ernie Horskamp, and I'm Dylan Word. We'll see you at the game.